Oh boy, turn-based combat, what do I say? So obviously you know what turn-based RPGs are. I mean, this is a Pokemon channel after all, but very interesting that in the last few weeks, the conversations around them have really heated up. With the release of Expedition 33 to critical acclaim, you might hear opinions like, finally turn-based combat is good, or this game is so behind for using turn-based combat. And then with a viral webcomic placing Pokemon at the center of the discussion, I figured I'd chat about some of my thoughts. So consider this can of worms open and grab a fork because they like to wiggle around. As I stated, I am a Pokemon fan. It is a game that really got me into gaming and fandom, and I'm thankful for it every day. I enjoy the games, and heck, I even like the turn-based combat. In the nearly 30 years that the series has been around, the core of a main series gameplay hasn't changed all that much. Sure, there are several intricacies and visuals that have been updated, but for the most part you're still navigating a little menu of 4 moves against an opponent. If anything, that extremely approachable combat is one of the biggest advantages. And of course the games have a lot more going for them than just the combat, like the creature and character designs along with a fun story. Realistically, Pokemon fans love the game because of those other reasons. The Pokemon and human characters themselves are the draw to not only the main series, but things like the card game, anime, and every spin-off. So when the world has seemingly far exceeded the core gameplay, I think I can see why it feels a little outdated to some. Pokemon was very inspired by other turn-based RPGs like Dragon Quest, which were inspired by older computer games like Wizardry, which itself was meant to be an adaptation of Dungeons & Dragons. Finally, we're at the very beginning, sort of. The point is that early video games, not necessarily being able to capture a sweeping, fast-paced action game, opted to build off a proven system that could still be engaging. If you've never played Dungeons & Dragons, I honestly highly recommend it, because then when you go back and play basically any RPG, you'll feel the DNA of it in the building blocks. Modern video games as a whole owe so much to pen and paper tabletop games. A lot of the feeling and progression, and yes, the turn-based combat. Even if that isn't exactly your thing, I think it's important to understand where all of it came from. And yes, action RPGs too. But then again, Dungeons & Dragons does require things like reading and socialization, which gamers don't really do a whole lot of. But the point I'm trying to make is that while it might feel like all modern video games should be fast-paced, because the hardware can handle it, the truth is intentionally maintaining turn-based combat is part of the whole experience. But even when a game like Baldur's Gate 3 a few years ago came out to critical acclaim, there were still weird detractors. Like, come on man, the turn-based combat of Baldur's Gate is like the best part. I mean, I get to jump into a game with the boys and plan out a strategy together, and I can even eat snacks during their turn, and I can play as an airheaded tomboy dragon woman. So now that we're back to the modern day, RPGs should totally be cool and accepted, right? That's where we come back to Expedition 33. Now I hear it's a great game, I kinda wanna get around to playing it myself, especially after seeing what the combat looked like. One of the many modern RPGs to include a little more action and movement in the battle itself. All great choices, but again it kinda brought the discussion back for every other game. This game doesn't deserve to be praised for being a turn-based RPG. Or, how to make turn-based battles good actually and not like Pokemon. Honestly, I kind of agree, but like I mentioned before, shut up please. We can have a real discussion. I will fully admit that the core gameplay battles of a Pokemon run aren't all that deep. That's exactly why a lot of older fans will implement Nuzlocke challenges, or just overhaul everything in a fan game. That's what they want to do. But in terms of unmodified Pokemon battles, the real complexity comes in the competitive scene, where you can freely build your team, face off in an established metagame, put time and effort into practicing and strategizing before events, all that goodness. A lot has changed in the 2 decades VGC has been around, but it basically has been the same thing the whole time. And like, I think it's bigger than ever. Heck, Showdown is still going, and like, yeah, it is a fan-made client and tier system, but it is still just Pokemon battles. This isn't a case of fans consuming the same slop year after year, it's a group of dedicated competitors actively keeping up with new additions in a familiar format. That said, I kinda wanna see things shake up a bit. Now, I personally don't play Pokemon for the mechanics. I'm all about the design and the story, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't get bored of the battles. I think I've played Sword and Shield enough times, even with challenge runs. Back in 2022, Pokemon Legends Arceus gave us one of the best single-player experiences in Pokemon, I feel. Not needing to worry about fitting in with the VGC format or even about online battles in general, it was able to really shake things up. From real-time catching mechanics to real-time squaring off against big Pokemon with nothing but a basket of bombs, the overall experience was a lot more active. The battles were changed up a little with the priority tracker on the side, and different move styles that kinda picked up the pace a little, but overall the groundwork was laid for a new era of Pokemon games. So with the trailers for Pokemon Legends EA showing off how the trainer will be a lot more active, during the scuffles between Pokemon it sparked my curiosity. Honestly, really watching the gameplay, I'm even more excited. But yeah, it does kinda get rid of the turn-based battles. Well, actually it seems to be using a refilling move gauge, which are still technically turn-based battles in disguise, but making everything else a lot more interactive was the perfect choice, requiring the player to move around in order to get the best vantage point, allowing them to do little things like recalling Pokemon or even throwing Pokeballs without needing to stop the action or open a menu. Little things like that are probably going to help to make the pace feel so much more exciting and thus, quote, fixing Pokemon and making it good finally. And it shouldn't feel too alienating, it'll still be Pokemon at the end of the day, bringing to life the anime style battles that everyone had always dreamed of without even really changing all that much. These are all elements that you could see Game Freak building toward in their previous entries. Being able to move around freely in Legends Arceus and the Synchro Machine in Scarlet and Violet, literally combine those two things and you get this. I need to see even more gameplay to get a good grasp on this, but I'm liking what I see so far. I don't think that this will be the norm for Pokemon moving forward, but with the reception of the Legends series, I'm at least glad that Game Freak seems to be more comfortable with releasing games that mix up the battle system without having to worry about whether it's compatible with VGC. Like, that's not even to mention how Pokemon Champions is basically going to be the dedicated way of playing competitive battles moving forward. I don't think that now Generation 10 will end up doing whatever it wants, but they honestly could if they want to. So that's basically where we are with turn-based Pokemon. The future looks new and different, but still some of the same that we know and love. Well, I hope I said what I wanted to say well enough in this video, though I'm sure to ruffle a feather or two, but what I really genuinely want everybody to take away from this is to just play more turn-based RPGs. Like, if you hate them, sure, whatever, but I guarantee that if you're on the fence, there's got to be several others that actually engage you. Or like I said, it could just be a case of not understanding the genre, in which case go back to D&D or Baldur's Gate on single player if you don't have any friends. And the same goes for Pokemon fans. Like, I get that there are so many people who just like the franchise for the cuddly little creatures, and for the most part they play through the main story just to get them, and that is perfectly fine, but I implore you to try drinking from another well once in a while. I love Pokemon, but there is so much more out there to experience and enjoy, especially if you're an amateur game developer, artist, or writer, because tasting a little bit of everything is the best way to broaden your horizons. I know this could go for any genre of game, and I'm sure a lot of people do play different games, but I am talking about RPGs specifically, because you'll be able to feel Pokemon's inspirations and influences in all of them. It's something I've really come to try more lately for that purpose. Well, that was quite the undertaking, and it's been a while since I made a video like this, and I hope I did well enough. I know that I have the extremely controversial opinion that Pokemon is fine actually, and that everybody should just play more video games, but it was interesting to take a look at things. I'm feeling very positive for not only the future of Pokemon, but RPGs in general, so let me know what you think in the comments about this one, and what are some of your favorite games, Pokemon and otherwise. How do you think Pokemon can improve going forward, and where should it solidify its identity? Anyway, I don't think I have a snappy ending line for this one, so I'll just wait until my opponent's done picking a move. Thank you to every channel member for your support, including the great Gators. First name, last name, Yo Saxon, Brian794, Johnny, Skyprince777, Olive Branch, Malguy, Draco Hunter, JP, Jacksident Prone, Alex with Shiny Hunts, Tyler Hopper, Lockadox, Koi13, Cemetery Hill, Cosmo Zero, Cheez-It62, GatorKid509, TF, Mathaclock947, Taijirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, and our monthly members first podcast, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
They got on what they thought was a thrill ride. They got off in a mystical dimension.
Give the horn back to Uni!
Now they're trapped.
We're in trouble.
In a world of dragons, wizards, and danger. Watch Dungeons and Dragons this morning at 11, new on Fox Kids.